As a pet photographer, we love photographing the pets, but we like to include the people too. And sometimes we only want to show part of the person, especially if you volunteer at the rescues. There's a lot of times where the personal interaction is great, but we don't want to show their face necessarily. Or maybe you've had clients that don't really want to have their face, but they want to have some part of their body interacting with their pet. That is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to rapid fire with Wiggles here in the studio, a whole bunch of ideas for you. So Monique here from Silver Paw Studio and founder of ProPetPhotog. And Wiggles here is going to help me stand in the studio and give you examples of all these poses that we're talking about today. Are you ready for that, Wiggles? Burp. We're not going to actually take pictures, but you'll get the idea. I'll show you some sample pictures as well. And these come in 3 different categories. And it's including hands, and feet, and head, shoulders. There's a song for that. Head, shoulders, hands and toes. No, I just changed that for us, okay? Hands, shoulders, and toes, and heads, whatever. You get what I mean. So we're gonna do that in 3 different chunks. I'm gonna show you a bunch of different poses, including each of those body parts and some tips you're gonna need to know as we go along. So Wiggles, ready to get in the studio and do some work? Okay. All right, let's reset this studio and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so Wiggles and I are all set up and I'm going to start with feet. This is actually my personal favorite that I do all the time at my sessions for clients especially. Now Wiggles is a small dog, so I'm gonna give you tips for small dogs and large dogs because there's a difference. Now, the very first one that I like to do is kind of a triangle where the dog sits right between your feet. And these ones are great if you have some cool shoes that you want to show off. These are my sister's boots that she has graciously allowed me to borrow for this. And so we've got some cool boots here, and there's our dog standing right in the middle. Obviously we're in a studio, but this works out on location with a leash as well. So the leash you can string behind the leg or in front, and it's pretty easy to edit out. And this is kind of a fun spot to put them. You have a nice little triangle going on here. One thing you want to make sure of when you're composing is to have the crop be about here. You don't want it to be much higher for obvious reasons. And there's a couple different ways you can do this pose. This is straight on, which works when you have a number of people and pets, but I actually like to have 1 foot out or 1 foot forward and make sure their hands are up. Because if this was a taller dog and my hands were down here, you don't want fingertips in the final image. So have their hands up, and they could be just holding the leash here. This is a great place to put the pups. And a lot of times you have to have them come back from behind and forward towards the camera. Love this foot pose. Another way to do this is the dog to one side or the other. Now, I am right-handed and I often hold my dog with this hand with the leash. And again, really easy to edit out the leash. And this looks so great. And clients think, oh my gosh, my dog was so well behaved because you edit out the leash and it looks like they're just sitting next to them. This is awesome. And I love either of these because you can have a dog on this side and a dog on this side. This is great. You can also do a person here, 2 dogs here, and another person here, kind of pinning the dogs between the people. And then this gets cut off and you have a nice longer pano. I really like that. So that's another way to do the feet. But oftentimes what happens with these is dogs, when you give them treats, many of my clients, this happens. Dogs will only take treats when they sit right in front of you. They hate sitting off to the side. I can't tell you how many dogs that we've had to try several times to get them to sit beside their person because they're like, I'm sitting right in front of you. I'm a good dog. Give me my treat. So naturally, this is one of my go-to poses. So the dog sitting, looking at the person and giving the treat. I love this. And again, change up the feet position. This way, depends, like these have a cool buckle, right? But it's kind of more dynamic to have the foot pointing towards. And so the dog looking up at the person is just so heartfelt. I love that. And then if you could step back a little bit, it can be just the dog too. So this is where it comes in handy for volunteers at the shelters. Sometimes the volunteer has to be right there with the dog. You can include their feet, or you can step out just a little bit and you get this nice profile. And honestly, a lot of times if you just do a squeak over there, they look towards you, awesome photo. But this is another way to use feet in the photos for these. Another really cool one that I don't get a chance to do much is just walking along. And this is so awesome with great shoes, which I recently this summer had a client with these amazing shoes, this awesome little dog, and it was so great. I think we were going against a brick wall maybe, and we had the dog out in front for one picture. And so you can imagine kind of the stepping forward and the dog out on the leash. This is great. This is also a fun interaction. Dogs have fun on walks. Also would be great at the rescues, but you don't have to get full body. You can get from knees down in this position with any size dog. So that's really dynamic. From the side view, I've also done it where they're walking towards me like this. So especially with those long-haired dogs, their hair can be waving behind them. It's so fun. So you can get walking towards you too in the feet collection. That sounds weird, but when you're only including the feet. A couple of things to note here is, again, keep fingertips out of these. You don't want fingers in your shot. If you do get a slightly wider crop in camera, just crop it in a little bit closer. So also, some dogs want to sit right on their peaceful's feet. Try to get a little bit of distance because you want that to show there's the full dog and here's the person. Once they start overlapping, everyone kind of gets muddled together. Same for this. Some dogs like to sit just like that and everything kind of gets muddied together. You want that distance here. Show off them, show off the shoes. Can you take this full body? Yeah, absolutely. But also take it right there. I have 3 examples of this image printed in my studio. Clients love it. So that is feet position. Let me know if I've missed any along the way. Okay, wiggles. Now let's move on to hands. All right, so for this, I want to just raise wiggles a little bit so you can see them a little bit better. So let's get the ottoman out here. All right. Yeah. Oh, wiggles, I thought of one I forgot on the boots one, of them jumping up onto your legs. So some dogs, that's the thing they do with people, is they jump up on their legs to kind of beg for the treat. So if that's something that dog normally does, it's a cute image. Okay. Oh, am I in the picture? Okay, so the next one I want to show you is using hands, but just the hands. Now, I have all kinds of poses with the person here on the ottoman, but we're just including hands, right? So, Wiggles, you ready to help me? Okay, picture if this was a big dog, the big dog would be on the floor. But we're just going to use Wiggles for this example. So just know that you can adjust this on a surface or on the floor. Now, a lot of these will be the dog facing the person. So here's some cool ideas. Obviously, giving a treat. Now, giving a treat can be like this. It could be the dog kind of facing this way and looking up. So I love chin pictures of dogs or cats, actually. So when you can see their little chin when they look up, that's so cute. When they look up like this, they're about to get a treat. They always look very happy. One thing to kind of think of is if you can angle them just a little bit towards the camera like that instead of completely parallel, then you have a better chance of maybe seeing both eyes. So think about that compositionally. Same idea applies when you want to give them a toy. So maybe you have a rope toy that they're playing with, and so the toy and the person are really interacting. They're actually physically connected. So I love that too. And this works, again, great at the shelters. So maybe they got a ball, they have a rope toy, some other kind of stuffy, something that they're playing with. This is a great way to be fully connected between the dog and the person, but not have the person in here. So imagine you're kind of leaning into this and the picture is cut at the right here in part of the arm. So you can do this all the way around the dog. A lot of times it works just sideways. One thing you want to be careful of is if you have your dog on the floor, again, a lot of them like to sit almost on your feet. So you're going to get part of your pants in there. So that always is more cluttered looking. Try to back up and lean into the image. That helps the photographer, tell that to your people. So you want to make sure that you're leaning in and you don't have your legs included. You could have them, but it just looks so much better and cleaner. Just the hand, not the hand and the legs. So sometimes you can get the dog right in that spot and you have to be fast, step back because they're going to step forward again. So just keep that in mind. So toys and treats, those are kind of our go-tos. Another one is any trick that they like to do. This could be they're giving you a high five or touch. A lot of people teach their dogs touch. So it could be flat on for touch. It could be like this for high five. What you want to make sure you do, and in this example, I keep using my right hand. You don't want to use the hand closest to the camera. So I would switch sides with someone who's just automatically doing what I do. You want to use the back hand farther from the camera, because what happens is your hand gets in front of their face, right? So use this one and try not to have too much hand compared to the dog. So this is a very small dog. You'd want the hand kind of sideways to the camera. That's some kind of nuances, but try to use your back hand as much as you can. Here's the caveat to that is, and sometimes the dog will turn away from the camera. So manipulate it as much as you can. Bring your backhand, have them bring their backhand towards the camera instead of using this hand. Okay, I'll show you some examples too. So high fives are great. So if you're using this hand, you can still see the dog's face. Good job, Wiggles. Any other tricks that they do. So I had a client this summer whose dog had this really cool trick to lay its chin on their hand. I think we managed to get one picture that I'll show you, but the dog's hand was on, the chin was on the hand. Isn't that so cute? I love that one so much. And it was the same client whose dog that had brought them together. And so they really wanted to show both of their wedding rings. And so they both were kind of petting the dog from either side. I can't remember exactly how we were doing it, but there was a client here and a client here. And we zoomed in to just the dog and their hands showing their wedding rings. So that's a great one for clients. But all these ones with the hands work really well with volunteers at the shelters as well. Good job, Wiggles. And I keep saying dog, but there's no reason why you can't do a lot of these with cats too. So if you have cat that's trick motivated or treat motivated, you could for sure do all these things. And they just like different toys and different treats. So definitely try these ones with the hands with kitties too. Okay, Wiggles, you ready for the very last one? Okay, let's get set up. And the last one is using our head and shoulders. Okay, this one is really good for small dogs and for cats. I'll show you a variation with a big dog as well. And this one is when you can hold them. Now, not all dogs and cats are going to tolerate this, but usually they will for at least one image. Be sure to keep safety in mind with these. So make sure your person is holding them carefully or have them sitting and holding well. So what you're going to do though, is you're going to turn the person all the way around. And so let's see if I can do that on this thing. I hadn't really thought about this. So they're going to turn all the way around. So you see the back of their head and they're going to lift the animal all the way up to be looking, I'm gonna do it on this side because my microphone, looking over the shoulder like that. So they're gonna have to hold them a little higher than they normally would. So most people, we hold them right about here or even lower, all the way up and over. If their little paws are on their shoulder, oh my gosh, that's even cuter. So let me twist around this way instead. Okay, Wiggles, you ready for this? So picture this. What? Now, you can't see your volunteer's face and your client's face, but isn't that cute? Up and over, having them look at them, maybe give them a little kiss on the cheek. If you have a client who can be in a little bit, I always encourage just to turn their head back around and do some of nose to nose or cheek to cheek. Those are always super fun. So kittens in this position are so adorable. And puppies and any small dog, they love that. They're cuddled close, the person's still in there, super fun. If you have someone with fun colored hair like I do, they might even want to show that off with their dog, but not actually be in the photo. This is also great if you only have a moment to take the picture and they're holding the animal like this and they have to go on like at the rescue. So the way that you can change that up for big dogs is if the bigger dog is sitting next to you. So this dog's head would be all the way up here. So again, it would be the client's kind of turned all the way around. The dog could be sitting on the ground or on an ottoman like this, and the dog is all the way down here, and they're tall enough for their head to reach up here. So that's one too. Good job, Wiggles. Was that all of them for around the face and head? I think so. That's kind of a classic one, but it's one I often forget at client sessions. So add that to your bag. Your clients will absolutely love that interaction with the dog and them not really being in the picture, but being in the picture, right? Okay. All right. Well, Wiggles, what else do we have to say? All right, that's what Wiggles and I have for you today on posing with parts of people. I'm not sure what this will end up being titled, but you get the idea. So the next time you're at an impasse and you're not sure how to include a volunteer or a client who really doesn't want to show their face, this hopefully gave you some inspiration. Good job, Wiggles. Okay. All right, if you like this video about posing with people, you're definitely gonna like this video here. And we'll see you in the next one. And as always, what do we say? I wish you many whoofs, purrs, and TREATS's. Hi, paw, Wiggles. Boop. Good job.